From a Chargers standpoint, this is bad news right now because they lose their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, with torn biceps for the season. Massive, massive hole on the offensive line. And one of the best edge rushers of the game, Joey Bosa, is now out week to week with a groin injury. Combine that with the loss of a 100% healthy Justin Herbert, who clearly is hurting badly with broken cartilage in his ribs. The Chargers also lose wide receiver Jalen Guyton to a torn ACL that he suffered against the Jaguars as well. And the Chargers lost a lot of bodies in that game and don't have a 100% Justin Herbert until further notice. This is a brutal way to start the season. Absolutely brutal. And every team is going to deal with injuries. Every team's going to lose guys. So even though the Rashawn Slater injury is a crushing one, almost every team is going to lose a significant player for a significant amount of time and multiple players. But what you want to see is somebody at the top able to navigate those choppy waters and manage the roster and manage the team correctly. Yesterday, I spoke a lot about the Jacksonville Jaguars coming out party against the Chargers on Sunday. And I really do believe that the Jaguars now have a recipe for success where they had drafted pretty well for a number of years, but couldn't get the coach right. Now they've got the quarterback as well, but they didn't have the coach right last year. And now they've got the quarterback, and it looks like early returns are the right head coach. And now it can all come together, and the Jaguars are really talented, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars end up winning that division. Right now, they're the best team of the AFC South. So I spent my morning yesterday talking about the Jags. Today, I want to spend my morning talking about the Chargers. Because the flip side of that equation is there was a lot of stuff that was wrong with the Chargers on Sunday. We're going to start with just defending your home turf against a team that hasn't quite learned how to win yet, especially against playoff caliber competition on the road. They had beaten the Colts the week prior at home, but you have the Jaguars coming all the way across country into your place of business, and you should have the talent advantage. You've got the experience advantage. You should have the talent advantage as well. The Chargers are one of the most talented teams in football. And you got railroaded. That's a concern that the Chargers couldn't keep that thing close, that they let a young Jags team come in there and push them around. The second thing that's even more damning is the inability for Brandon Staley to recognize either A, Justin Herbert doesn't need to play in this game, we live to see another day, or B, once that game is a 3-touchdown spread, you get him the hell out of there. One of those two things had to happen. To be quite frank, I did not think Herbert was going to play last week. I thought, boy, this is your franchise guy. He's got broken cartilage around his ribs or in the ribs. We saw him wincing and grimacing in pain the week before even trying to throw the football, and at one point, just taking a snap and chucking it to the ground because he just couldn't stand the pain. I said, the Chargers aren't going to mess with this. A, the doctors won't clear him. But B, if you're the Chargers and you have a 17-game season, you sit Justin Herbert at home against the Jaguars. Not a disrespect to the Jaguars, but you're not playing for the season in September against the Jaguars. You just got to make sure he's on the field in December when you're a game or two out of the playoffs or a game or two up in the playoff race and you've got to get that W. You don't got to get that W right now against the Jags at home in September. And then he was going to play, and I said, boy, okay, he got cleared by the medical team. All of a sudden, that's a little bit of a concern because remember, it's the same doctor that shot Tyrod Taylor up in the ribs with the pain injector and punctured his lung. with a rib injury a couple of years ago, which opened up the door for Justin Herbert to become the starter. So do you trust that dude or that staff with Herbert now? Okay, they cleared him. But I said, well, at the very least, we're going to see Justin Herbert not play with pain, because why would they put him in there if he's going to play with pain? And you could see he was not right. He was laboring. It wasn't as bad as the week before, grimacing and wincing in pain, but it wasn't right. So that was the first tip-off of the Chargers are not doing the right thing here because, again, this is not a must-win game, and you're risking further injury and long-term injury for the rest of the season against the Jags in September. 1-1 is not where you want to be, but you can survive 1-2 as long as you know Herbert's going to be okay moving forward. But this game gets more and more out of reach, and at some point in time, Brandon Staley has to call off the dogs. And he never does. The Jaguars led 13-0 in the second quarter, but Herbert leads a touchdown drive, hits Mike Williams on the touchdown. Okay, it's 13-7. You're still in it. It's 16-7 at the half, and you probably feel, you know what, we still have a chance of this game. As the third quarter moves on, you can see it's harder and harder for the Chargers to move the football. And at one point, it's 23-10 with 10 minutes to play in the third. Okay, now it's a two-score game. Two-touchdown game. And I'm thinking there's got to be a point here where you got to think about yanking Justin Herbert. At the end of the third quarter, the Chargers punch it in again. That's the touchdown to Christian Kirk that makes it a 21-point spread, 31-10. And at that point, Herbert cannot play the fourth quarter. You trail by 3 touchdowns. And you've had this is not you trail by 3 touchdowns and it was the Dolphins and Ravens a couple of weeks ago where you can move the football. This is you're down 3 touchdowns and you're struggling to move the football. You're going to lose this game, and Herbert simply cannot play the fourth quarter. You cannot put him back out there. And Staley never yanks him. And this entire time I'm going, God, I hope Herbert does not get hurt further here. I hope he does not take a shot from behind. I hope he does not take a shot to his ribs. I don't know why you're playing him in this game. You trail by 3 touchdowns. The fourth touchdown doesn't come until about 5 minutes to play in the game. So at that point, there's only probably 1 drive left. But at that point, it's a no-brainer then. You trail by 28 points with 5 minutes to go. Of course, Herbert comes out. And again, Staley never goes to the hook. And I get sick thinking that one of the great young quarterbacks in the game, who should be one of the great quarterbacks in the game for a long time, has a head coach he is not aware enough to do this. He is not aware enough of the situation and what is at stake. Staley is a young coach. Maybe this comes with experience. But I would tell you this right now. The right thing for Brandon Staley to have done was to go into Sunday's game, and I know you never want to expect to lose or prepare to lose, but the right thing to have done was to say, what's the scenario where we pull Justin Herbert? You have to think about that. There has to be a plan in place. And I would say, if we're down 3 scores in the fourth quarter, he's out of there. And I'm gonna have to own it, and that's on me, and I just have to be the guy that says we were not going to put him at further risk. Now, you don't want to think about being down 21 or 28 points at home to the Jaguars, but you have to consider in this game going into it, what's the scenario where I pull Justin? And Staley never did. Staley never considered it. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, and that's the nicest thing I can say about Brandon Staley, was that he didn't consider it. Because if he thought we're so desperate to win this game that down 21 points in the fourth quarter, we still think we've got a chance, that's stupid. That's just negligence. That's idiocy. I hope he just was unaware and not, no, we're going to keep trying to score points here because, Herbert gives us our best chance to win. You couldn't win that game by the end. And that worries me. It worries me that Brandon Staley does not have that awareness, that they are willing to risk Herbert's health, that they now don't have a left tackle, and now Bosa is week to week. So you're gonna trot Justin Herbert back out there without his left tackle now. And he's got broken cartilage. I always want to believe that the Chargers could turn the corner because they always have great talent. They always have a fun offense. They always have a reason to be like, oh, I'd love to see the Chargers win. I'd love to see them turn the corner. I'd love to see them, do something they've never done, which is win a Super Bowl. And then we just keep coming back to the same crap, like it's a different coach and a different regime and a different set of circumstances, but it's the same crap with the Chargers. That you just can't trust them from themselves.